If you're just joining us, Judge Juan Merchan has ruled an unconditional discharge in the New York hush money criminal trial of President-elect Donald Trump. I want to bring in Jessica Levinson for more on this. She's a CBS News legal contributor and a professor at Loyola Law School. So, Jessica, the judge said it is the legal protections afforded to the office of the president that are extraordinary, not the occupant of the office. Your take on what we just saw in New York City?
I think what we just saw is a judge acknowledging reality, that he is not facing any criminal defendant or a convicted criminal. In fact, he is facing the former and, more importantly, future president of the United States. And Vlad, as we've been talking about, that is a person who, by virtue of the office that they inhabit, not by virtue of who they are, but by virtue of their job, they enjoy protections. They enjoy protections from being sued civilly for official conduct. They enjoy protections from criminal liability for criminal liability for official conduct. And what we're seeing here is, of course, that extends to any real potential sentence, that the judge is not going to say, I will be the person who puts strings and restrictions on the occupant of the Oval Office. Again, because of how our Constitution is structured, because of all of that case law indicating that we need to protect the office of the presidency.
So, Jessica, stand by. I want to bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jang. She's in West Palm Beach. I know this just happened, Weijia, but are you hearing any indication that we will expect to hear from the president-elect today on what just transpired in a New York City courtroom?
Vlad, you're right that it just wrapped up, and we did hear from Trump inside that proceeding. As for whether he'll make remarks today, you just never know when you're talking about Trump, and he could very well feel like adding more to what he said inside the courtroom, because we know this has been hanging over him. In fact, he made remarks about it last night, trying to downplay the sentencing, saying that he actually agreed with the Supreme Court's decision not to block the sentencing, because he says the justices mentioned that he could appeal, which is exactly what he plans to do. But he also said that, he's going to go and do his, quote, little thing today, meaning show up during the proceeding, and that his political opponent, Merchan in this case, the judge, would be able to have, quote, fun with him. And so he tried to brush it off in his words, Vlad, but his actions, of course, spoke much louder, because he did try to stop this sentencing from happening, because even though he doesn't have to pay a penalty, this does now solidify him as a convicted felon. This will now be part of his criminal record forever. And so when he talked about appealing, he said he would do it. And he said that even though he doesn't have to pay any consequences or penalties, he's doing it, quote, psychologically, Vlad. So it's really interesting that he spoke about this last night and used that word to describe why he is going to contest this, because he knows in his mind that he is a convict. And so, as to answer your original question, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did hear more from President-elect Trump today here in West Palm Beach.
All right, Weijia Jang for us, reporting from West Palm Beach. Thank you, Weijia, as always. We appreciate you. Let's bring in CBS News political reporter and attorney Katrina Kaufman, who's joining me now from outside that courthouse in New York City. You were sitting in the courtroom, Katrina. Give us some color. What'd you see? What'd you hear?
Hi, Vlad. Great to be with you. It was a very different atmosphere in that courtroom today. You could almost feel how much more relaxed it was without the anticipation of Trump's arrival. But there were still all of the courtroom reporters there, the sketch artists. There was the usual photography spray, but this time they were shooting the screen with Trump and his attorney, Todd Blanche, on it. As you can see in that photo, they were sitting with American flags behind them. And Trump only seemed semi-interested during all this. He was looking down quite a bit, but then, really perked up when he heard the prosecution talking about the charges against him. And there really just was a gravity, though, to hearing Justice Merchan proclaim this sentence and also really imply that he would have wanted to impose a harsher sentence on Donald Trump if it wasn't for the strictures of the presidency, the office that Merchan said Trump is about to occupy. But he really emphasized that what's extraordinary is the protections that are afforded that office, not the occupant, he said.
Yeah. And so the question, of course, going forward is just sort of what this will mean larger, a bigger picture, Katrina, as an attorney, the idea that a president of the United States is now also a convicted felon. I know that we've normalized the president-elect over the course of the last 8 years, but this is really extraordinary. And we often use the word unprecedented, but this is unprecedented.
I mean, it really is, Vlad, in every way. And, you know, what's extraordinary is that there are many jobs and things that a convicted felon cannot do in the United States, but we now have one who is going to be leading our country. Even though a jury verdict had come in from this trial with these 34 counts finding Trump guilty, the American people still decided to elect him president. And what the sentencing does is it's a note of finality, branding him as a convicted felon just 10 days before inauguration.
All right, Katrina Kaufman, we appreciate you as always, my friend. Jessica Levinson, Ouija Jang, all of you who've been contributing to our coverage of this extraordinary day in a New York City courtroom, thank you all very much. I want to let our viewers know that we're also going to be getting audio from the courtroom soon, and we're going to bring that to you as soon as it comes in. Meanwhile, some other news to get to, including the stories that we've been following all day. This will include analysis on America Decides and the Daily Report, which you can catch now on Fridays. Did you know that, Ryan? I did. You can find it on Fridays now. America Decides is on at 5 p.m. Eastern, and the Daily Report starts at 6 Eastern.